on each content type, you have the ability to set a workflow. Right now it's using system workflow. I'm going to actually flip it to use the call to action workflow right here and not use the system workflow, right? And that's a new custom workflow that I just set up that's not in our starter, but I went ahead and set it up here. And basically, this is the way that this custom workflow for this content type is going to work. If you want to add another workflow step, you just click here, call it draft, translate, review, whatever you wish. And then you can just drag these around anywhere you wish to set the order. And you can add as many sub actions as you want to appear to different user groups, right? So you can permission, if I only want save to be accessible by contributor and anyone who can contribute content, those are the only ones that will actually be able to see the buttons that I am making. And then they will perform the actions, the sub actions over here on the right. So I set up some basics that the content contributor would have to send to a translator. Translator would translate, then send to a reviewer. The reviewer would publish. What I'm going to add for myself right now is a workaround with auto translation that will automatically, from the very first step, take a publish and translate action and move the content from the very first step all the way over to published. So I'm going to add that first in the published step here. So I'm going to actually translate and publish at the same time. And I'm going to say who can use. I want exclusive use of this button. So instead of giving it to any of the other user roles, I actually want to give it only to the admin user, which is me. And so that way you can make all the buttons completely exclusive. This show when shows when the user will actually see the button based upon the content state, whether they're clicking on a whole bunch of content in a listing, or whether the content is locked or unlocked, whether it's published or unpublished. You can determine when that button actually appears. You can also control if the user, as a part of the action, can assign content. If they're sending email or sending the task to someone for review, you can activate those buttons. And the default action is automatically notify, send an email, and the notification inside of dotCMS to that user. But here, if I want to publish and translate and publish, I want a save, which I can just start typing and it'll automatically include those actions. I'll take off the notify assignee. And here you can see there's tons of sub actions that I don't have time to talk about, but there's 4 eyes approval where you can set how many committee members need to approve something before it moves on. Copy content lit, large internal message, small internal message, social networking, push publishing, a couple different types of push publishing, requiring multiple approvers, sending emails, and each one of these actually has its own configuration inside, right? And I'm going to throw one for auto translation using Google Translate, right? So I'm going to save the content, and like I said, translate and publish. I'm going to publish the content, and I'm going to translate the content. And here is my translation. I'm just inserting here my Google Translate API key, developer key, so it'll handle the translation. I could even say ignore, please, fields that have the velocity variable name key. Don't translate those, and then place that in there. And then if I am going to allow this to be shown whenever the content is locked, I can automatically unlock the content so that no step in my workflow unlocks the content. I click save. And now I want to use that translate and publish button in multiple steps because I'm the only one who has access. So I want to give myself the ability to override any of those actions at any point in the step because it's only going to be visible to me. The nice thing about the workflow also is that you can say, who can actually see. So I can actually see anyone who can edit content, what buttons do they see for this call to action content type that it's applied to, and I get a horizontal view. And then if I say anyone who can publish the content, then they can actually get the rest of those actions. So you can get a nice horizontal and complete view for each user in the system on what they can actually do. So let me just make sure that that actually is applied to my content type. Yes, call to action. And then let's go add the call to action to the page. So let's go back to our index page here, edit mode, and go down to the bottom. And I'm just going to click here and add new content. and I'm going to hit call to action, now using, which you can see, my brand new button that I put there, right? So I'm going to add already dreaming of winter for my winter vacation little experience here. And then for my button, I want to say book now. Go to a predetermined package page like destinations Colorado or something like that. I could put button 2 as well, and then that would also pick it up as a secondary button, but we're just going to hit it. I can click save. We can see that it's showing me my content type is call to action. My workflow is call to action. It's in step draft because I just click save. And then I can click translate and publish. And then that's going to actually, save that action. It'll publish the action. And now it's ready to be viewed upon the page. And here I've got my already dreaming of winter. And I can click on that and that'll lead me to my page. Now, whenever I actually clicked translate and publish on this content, it translates into however many languages used Google Translate that I have configured in the system. So that's already been done. So if I want to actually see the multiple language versions and I want to flip to them to see their translation or work for them and work through them in a workflow, I can just click edit and see here, click on the language tab and actually check the Spanish and see what it was translated into. So I click here my Spanish, and then I can see that it was translated. Now, is Google Translate perfect? Of course, no automatic translation is, but that's why I actually put it into a workflow where you can actually pass it to a review after it's auto translated and then verify or have someone who's an expert in that language then take it and make a modification. But at least it gets you 85% of the way there, and you can actually have a partial translation, a language version present for every language that you actually have in. Switch back to English now. And you could have different language reviewers work you through that workflow. And you could tie it to an external translation service. You don't have to use Google Translate. You could use Amazon. You could use something else as well.